Welcome to the Nations vs. Nonprofits Weekly Briefing. This is your weekly briefing number 10, Why the West Berkeley Shellmound was misidentified. The West Berkeley Shellmound is one of the most cited examples in Bay Area Indigenous history, but most people do not know that its modern public interpretation is incorrect. The popular narrative places the Shellmound in the wrong location and assigns meaning that does not match the archaeological, historical, or cartographic record. Understanding how this misidentification happened helps reveal why accurate data matters when discussing ancestral sites. The original shell mound was documented by early archaeologists, federal surveyors, and University of California researchers. Their maps, notes, and excavation records place the mound in a very specific footprint. These records show its dimensions, elevation, and position relative to the shoreline and surrounding land features. Over time, later interpretations drifted away from the actual data. Activists, nonprofits, and public storytellers began referencing a much larger, vague area as the Shellmound site. This reinterpretation extended the mound onto land that was never part of the documented archaeological footprint. As the narrative spread, institutions, media outlets, and members of the public began repeating the incorrect location without checking the primary sources. The misidentification was reinforced by maps that used circles, shading, or symbolic markers instead of accurate outlines. These representations made it seem like the entire neighborhood was a single continuous shell mound, even though the archaeological record shows a defined, measurable structure. Symbolic maps can be useful for storytelling, but they should not replace the verified footprint of an actual site. Accurate data matters because misidentification affects land use decisions, cultural interpretation, and the recognition of real ancestral sites. When a site is placed in the wrong location, it can divert attention from the areas that should be protected. It also allows organizations to build narratives around places that were not historically shellmound sites, which misleads the public and undermines indigenous history. Returning to the primary sources show the real shape and placement of the West Berkeley Shellmound. These records clarify that the site was smaller, more defined, and located precisely where early surveys indicated. This does not diminish its cultural importance. It strengthens it by grounding the conversation in evidence. Once you understand why the West Berkeley Shellmound was misidentified, you can see why accuracy matters when discussing ancestral sites. Real data protects real places. It ensures that cultural history is honored through truth rather than repetition. Thanks for watching this week's briefing. Nations vs. Nonprofits weekly briefings drop every Monday. Tune in for next week's subject, Why Confederated Villages of Lijian Did Not Exist Before 2018.